Nations, and I'm here today because I have to share with you this short but really fun interviews that we did with the heads of the UN agencies. These short interviews show more about them, not just heads of these agencies, but also as people. So follow along to know about the questions and the answers.
What is the best project that you have worked on so far?
It's difficult actually to say what's the best project, but definitely, I mean, projects that we are very close to the people and to the community are the projects that are more effective for us. And during the UN week, we are going around Albania and we are promoting the project on the awareness raising campaign for irregular migration. We are talking to the people to tell them more about regular migrations, but also focusing on what are the possibilities in Albania.
What is the best thing about working with the UN?
Interesting question. The best thing for me is that you can serve the people.
And what is the worst thing about working with the UN?
The worst thing? Endless deadlines.
What tip would you give to someone who wants to work with the UN?
I could say that yes, it's something that everyone can do, but of course it needs a lot of work and dedication, and it's an endless process of learning. If you are ready to do so, you can all do that.
How is the professional Alma different from the family Alma?
When you meet Alma in the office, you will see that it's very organized, to the point, always looking, for things to get done. And sometimes it's the perception, maybe it could be that it's tough. But when you see Alma in the family, it's completely quite a different thing. It's always fun, always, running after the children, and always trying, at least in the weekend, to have a good time with the family.
What is the most important lesson you have learned in life?
Keeping balances on everything.
What is something that you notice first when you meet someone for the first time?
I can look straight at the eye, and you can read a lot.
Okay. I guess this is not your best question because you are an Albanian, but what's your favorite Albanian food?
Tava e kosit. We always promote this food, which is very traditional Albanian food, and I really like it.
Well, all the other UN head of agencies have said direct.
Really?
So it's interesting on having tava e kosit
Okay.
now. Okay, I guess. What inspires you to go on in life?
Motivation is really important in life, and if you have goals, that's a more important thing. And of course, as I mentioned before, you should keep really a very good balance between work, family, and everything else.
Okay, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you feeling about this interview?
It's one of the interviews, I can say, because being the head of the office and especially talking or having to deal with very sensitive issues such as reproductive health and reproductive rights, an interview, a general interview, it's something that we easily take. But depends from how it go. If you're kind of dipping into the issues that UNFPA is covering, it might become probably more exciting to you than to me.
Okay. So what is the best project you have worked so far?
Actually, UNFPA does not work on the basis of projects. We have a country program that is usually being approved every 5 years from the executive board. And within that kind of big country program, we have activities that we are implementing. Every time that UNFPA basically writes a country program, we are in cooperation with other UN agencies. And from that perspective, the common framework of the UN becomes also not a mandatory, but something that we try to follow.
Yes.
From that perspective, our interventions and projects, if you want to call it so, are very much aligned with other agencies, and we try to do as much as possible jointly. that might not come to a joint program as such, but most of them are joint programming or programs. So from that perspective, this is where the collectiveness and working together comes from.
Okay, something more casual. What is your favorite Albanian food?
As you can see, I mean, I like all types of foods. So, but I'm most on cheese, and Albania is quite famous. Probably we are not friends of Italy, but still we have a lot of kind of varieties of, especially cheese that you can choose from.
Yes.
And now with these bio farms, the number of cheese is increasing. So for me, it will be a very difficult terrain to compete with, and especially in terms of losing weight, I think it's a lost battle, but I'll try to.
What's something you notice about someone when you first meet them?
The way, when you meet somebody, the way that the eye contact that someone sets with you is quite important to me. And especially if you continue to keep the eye contact, this tells you that the person talking to you is not only interested on you, but it takes you seriously. So it's not only listening, but he or she is trying to understand what you're saying.
Yes. What is the tip that would you have for someone who wants to work in the UN?
If you see the UN from the outside, or being an outsider to the UN, you think that it's something that is not reachable. For me, that I have been working in different positions for UN since '94, and I'm a medical doctor, so I was fully graduated in general medicine, and after that I took a 3 years proper training to become an intensive care doctor. Shifting or moving to the UN was probably the lifetime change for me. But I can say that working for the UN gives you a different perspective when it comes to cooperating with others, learning from different experiences, and networking with. Not only regional, but kind of overall kind of networking that you might create. Staying at UN, probably it's more difficult in terms of you have to find your passion to still continue doing things. Though UN is quite a big entity in itself, because there is composed from different agencies, but I think that, especially for me, being with UNFPA for such a long time, I think that all the time that I've tried myself to change the perspective and trying to move to another agency, I have felt myself that something within UNFPA has not been accomplished as far as myself is concerned. And the biggest motivation for me to move from a specialized doctor to a public health was a women's right. And especially fighting for choices. And I do remember myself having to deal with a number of deaths when it comes to death caused by the abortion. Now Albania, thanks to a number of, not only UNFPA, but a number of government and UNFPA intervention, is a country that is free from abortion, not from abortion, but free from deaths caused by abortion. And this is something that I'm proud of, because I've been part of this path.
Thank you so much
very
for
welcome.
joining us. Thank you.
Hopefully, it's that level of whatever.
How are you feeling about this interview?
I'm feeling pretty okay. Very happy to talk to you guys.
Oh.
Speaking to Albanian youth.
What was the first thought when you learned you are going to work in Albania?
I was very happy. I got a call. Actually, the way it worked is that I had initially I had a 2 months mission before coming here for good. And I got a call like, you need to be in Tirana next week, and I'm like, I'm ready.
Oh, okay. What is the first Albanian word you learned?
I don't remember. It's probably the usual, Faleminderi and Mirëmëngjes.
Oh, okay, okay. What are 3 things you always must have on your work desk?
On my work desk?
Yes.
Pictures of my family, my laptop, and then I have a stress ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I'm stressed, but because I like to keep physically active, so
it helps.
Yes.
What is the best project you have worked on so far?
Well, I think there are many exciting things we're doing in Albania as UN Women and with the rest of the UN family. One of the things that I'm particularly proud about is this empowerment to self-defense that we've launched a couple of years ago, which is specifically focusing the work with the Albanian youth in communities.
That's great. What is the best thing about working with the UN?
It's the sense of belonging it's having this kind of UN flag painted all over your mind and your soul, and this sense of really belonging to a much wider community, which is value-based, which is based on the respect and dignity of everybody, and trying to to give purpose to what you do on a daily basis, I think it's really, really great. There are also a number of frustrations, but we deal with them with the passion.
Okay, the classic question. What is your favorite SDG?
My favorite?
SDG.
Well, I mean, that's I'm obliged to say SDG 5, promoting gender equality and empowerment of women. But in fact, because of the work we do, we like them all. Because all the SDGs are about, they have very much, important implications when it comes to the impact on men and women, girls and boys. So we really like them all. We have a preference for SDG 5, but we like them all.
Okay. What is what tip would you give to someone who wants to work in the UN?
You have to do it if you believe in it. If you believe in the bigger picture of one united human community, I think it's a wonderful job. It's a job that has a lot of challenges and some limitations. So you really have to be equipped with a lot of passion and inner motivation.
Okay. What's your favorite Albanian food?
Oh, I mean, that's an easy one. Burek. Burek and dal, I mean, I could live on those. I cannot, unfortunately, because otherwise I would be gone already a while ago. But because of my age, of course, not because of the... but the food is just amazing. My mother was here the other week and she's been on Burek all week long.
Okay, going back to the UN, what do you think is the biggest achievement of UN in Albania?
Biggest achievement of UN in Albania, I think we've done a few. We have managed to support a lot the country continuing its sort of path towards EU integration and all of the endorsement of the Sustainable Development Goals agenda and the firm commitment. I think if Albania is so strong on everything that is multilateral and United Nations and global cooperation, I think the UN team in Albania has some merit and some credit that should be shared.
Absolutely. Last question. How much will you miss Albania from 1 to 10?
How much will I miss it when I'm gone?
Yes.
I don't want to think about it. I will miss it a lot. I mean, we are kind of, in a way, we're kind of used to it because we do 4 or 5 years here and then we have to pack and go and get used to another reality. So it may be the same, but every time what I'm telling you is that I feel Albania is home. Every time that I come back to Tirana, I'm saying I'm going home. So I will miss it a lot and I will have a lot of fond memories of the times I spent here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
How are you feeling about this interview?
Very good. Very happy to be here with you.
What was the first thought when you learned that you're going to work in Albania?
I was very excited.
What is the first Albanian word that you learned?
Faleminderit.
Do you remember your first day of work in Albania?
Of course I do.
What are 3 things that you always must have on your work desk?
My work desk, for sure, a pen, coffee, and my notebook.
What is the best project that you have worked on so far?
All of them. I cannot exclude anyone. All of them are fantastic.
The classic question, what is your favorite SDG?
SDG, my favorite. Wow, that's a complicated. Maybe gender equality.
Nice. What is the best thing about working with the UN?
We have a purpose.
And what is the worst thing about working with the UN?
I cannot think about anything, but maybe I will say that moving from one country to another one, then family, you are away from your family.
What is the biggest achievement of the UN in Albania?
Biggest achievement is that we are here for 31 years, so I think we have a very long-lasting partnership with the government of Albania.
How is the professional Monica different from family Monica?
I guess that I'm the same good person, both in profession and in my family.
What is the most important lesson that you have learned in life?
Very good question. I think that we have to take care of our dear and loved ones. That's very important.
Nice one. And what is your favorite Albanian food?
Albanian food, everything. I love the food.
Nice.
You have excellent food.
Nice.
And I would say that I love the coffee also.
The what?
The coffee.
The coffee?
Yes,
oh,
you
nice.
have excellent coffee.
How much do you miss home from 1 to 10?
I miss my parents. So I miss them a lot, so I'll say 10 because I miss my parents.
How much do you think you will miss Albania when you leave from 1 to 10?
10. 20.
20?
Yes.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling about this interview?
I'm fine.
What was the first thought when you learned that you're going to work in Albania?
Really, I mean, it was really unexpected, but as unexpected it was to come to Albania, unexpected it was how great Albania is. So I really love this country, and I always tell my friends in Italy and my colleagues that they should come and visit because it's a wonderful country.
Oh, okay. What inspires you to go on?
Well, what inspires me is that I think that we are doing things that are good for the people and for the country. So I like thinking of myself being part of the UN mission.
Okay, $1 million question. What is your favorite SDG?
Well, for me, my favorite SDG is the one related to environment, because I really think that we have all to care about what we have and preserve it for the future, and raise awareness on how to improve the environment and the world we are living in.
Do you have a message for the people who are skeptical of the work that UN does?
A message is that we have, for example, in UNOPS, a great team of people, both internationals, locals, so Albanians that work for their country, and we are all committed to that. So I think that we really trust the people we have, and that's the secret.
Okay, what is your favorite Albanian food?
Okay, here we have a problem because I love Albanian food. I love the traditional casserole. I unfortunately love lamb because I always feel sorry for the little lambs, but I just love zgara.
Okay, and maybe last question. How much will you miss Albania from 1 to 10?
Well, I think 11.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
And how are you feeling about this interview?
I am feeling fine.
Okay.
Great.
What was your first thought when you learned that you were going to work in Albania?
Albania was one of the countries that I requested, so my first feeling was a feeling of satisfaction and excitement because I didn't know the country, and so I was really interested in knowing one more country, in this case Albania.
What is the first Albanian word you learned?
The first Albanian word I learned was, I think, faleminderit.
Nice. Do you remember your first day of work here in Albania?
Vaguely, I remember that I arrived at the office, of course. I had a meeting with all the UNICEF staff. Then maybe I met the then UN resident coordinator and perhaps some few other UN colleagues.
What are 3 things that you always must have on your work desk?
Well, on my desk, rather than saying what I always must have, I can tell you what I don't like to have. I don't like to have a lot of papers, documents, files, piles of documents to sign, etc., etc.
What is the best thing about working with the UN?
Well, as far as I am concerned, the best thing is that I would say 2 things. Well, the first one is that, working for children as a UNICEF representative is something that is really rewarding, morally rewarding, there's no doubt about it. And second, it gave me the opportunity of traveling, of knowing different countries, a lot of people, and so on and so forth.
And what is the worst thing about working with the UN?
The worst thing about working with the UN, it is something that probably could apply also to any other big organization, multinational, etc. I would say is the bureaucracy.
What is the most important lesson you have learned in life?
Wow, the most important lesson I have learned in life. My grandfather used to say that until you die, you can always learn. So probably the most important lesson I have not yet learned it. I will learn it in the future.
That's nice. How is the family Roberto different from work Roberto?
I don't think it's much different. I believe that my sort of temper, my way of being is the same being in the family. So with my wife and my 2 sons or in the office.
What's something you notice first when you meet someone for the first time?
I don't think there is anything specific. I would prefer, rather than focusing on the sort of exterior aspect, I would prefer to first talk to the person and then trying to understand who is my interlocutor.
What's your favorite Albanian food?
Favorite Albanian food? It's difficult to come up with just one choice because Albanian food is very, very good. I must say I would like to come up with three choices. One is sort of traditional Albanian food, which is burek, that I like very much. The second one, it may not be that traditional, but crudo di pesce is excellent here in Albania. And the third one is fruits in general. I like fruits very much, and here seasonal fruits are very, very good.
Nice. How much do you miss home from 1 to 10?
Well, I left my hometown at the beginning of 1986, so I really don't know where is home. So I miss it, but I mean, I can't say 10. No, I can't say 10.
And how much do you think you will miss Albania from 1 to 10?
I am not sure I will be missing Albania because my wife is insisting for us to remain in Tirana after we retire. So I will not miss Albania because I may stay here.
Okay, that's good. Well, thank you very much. Are you ready?
Yes. Yes.
How are you feeling about this interview?
I'm fine. I'm looking forward to questions.
What is the first thought that you have when you learned that you're going to work in Albania?
The first thought, I was very happy.
What is the first Albanian word that you learned?
Pikant is the word. Spicy, pikant.
Yeah, pikant.
Yes,
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Spicy,
Okay.
yes.
What are 3 things that you always have to have on your work desk?
3 things. Well, I mean, desktop for sure. My business card. And a cup of coffee.
Nice one. What is your favorite SDG?
What's my favorite SDG? That's a very difficult question because, you know, I work for refugee agency, meaning that everything basically in SDGs matter, the work for refugees.
Yeah.
So I would say all. I'm sorry, I know that this is not the answer, but I have to say all.
What do you think is the best thing about working with the UN?
Best thing about working with the UN? It is that we have a purpose for working. For example, my agency is working for refugees. So the objective is clear that we have to work to protect refugees. So that is what I like.
Good, nice. And what is the worst thing about working with the UN?
Worst thing? Well, this can be a good thing and also a bad thing. When it comes to the direction of a bad thing, it could be a worse thing, which is the need for us to move around. That we cannot, even if I like Albania, I cannot stay in Albania forever. You know, I have to move after a few years because that's the length of my assignment.
Yeah. What tip would you give to someone who wants to work in the UN system?
What tips?
What tip?
What tips? Okay. Maybe I will say the same thing, but one thing which is important is that you are clear about the purpose of working for the United Nations. As you know, that United Nations have different agencies, different divisions, so each agency has its own objective. So if you are not clear about what you want to do with the UN, you'll be easily lost in the UN.
That's a good one. What's the most important lesson you have learned in life?
In my life?
Yes.
The lesson I learned in my life. Okay. Always be positive is what I learned probably. That of course, I mean, you always have difficulties, you always have challenges, unexpected challenges will come in your life, but be positive and then you will find a way.
What inspires you to go on?
What?
What inspires you to go on?
Again, it's the same answer. If you're asking about my work, it's a clear objective of protecting refugees. I mean, that inspires me. Yes.
What's something you notice first when you meet someone for the first time? What do you notice first when you meet someone for the first time?
Anybody, somebody. What I notice first? That's a very interesting question. I look at people's eyes first.
Nice.
Yes, because eyes, in many cases, will tell who they are.
Yeah, that's true. What is your favorite Albanian food?
Durian.
Great. I was expecting something piquant, but it's okay. How much do you miss home from 1 to 10?
That's also another interesting question. Yes, it depends. You know, I mean, sometimes I miss my home, 10. Sometimes I don't. When I eat picante food in Albania or drinking good raki, maybe I don't miss my home at all. So it can be 0.
Nice. And how much do you think you will miss Albania when you leave? From 1 to 10?
10.
Okay, nice one.
Yes.
Feeling about this interview?
A little nervous, but excited.
Good. What was the first thought when you learned that you were going to work in Albania?
Really excited. I was in Montenegro, so I didn't have far to go, but I knew that it had a longer coastline and better food.
What is the best Albanian word you learned?
Përshëndetje.
Nice. Do you remember your first day of work here in Albania?
I remember being in the Rogna Hotel and going to meet the president.
That's nice. What is the best thing about working with the UN?
It's a real honor to work for the UN. The values, what it represents globally, and also what you can do in the country you're working in.
And what is the worst thing about working with the UN?
Sometimes you can get a bit upset with the bureaucracy, but the reason why we have all these systems and processes is to make sure that we do things properly.
What are 3 things you always must have on your work desk?
Tricky. A glass of water, I think. My computer, and lots of papers. I work in a quite a creative way.
Do you miss working as an urban planner?
Sometimes, but then again, I get to walk around Tirana and I remember a lot of the things that we learn as urban planners when I see the way the city works here.
What's something you notice when you meet someone for the first time?
I think you can tell whether they're confident or not, whether they're shy to meet you, and you then have to see how to put them at ease.
What is the most important lesson you have learned in life?
Try. If you don't succeed, try again and work hard.
That's a short one, it was good, very good. What inspires you to go on?
I don't know, the chance that you might make a difference, I think. I'm getting a little bit older, the chance that you might change something for the better.
How is family Fiona different from work Fiona?
You'd have to ask them. Well, I'm not present so much, but I always have an eye on what different members of my family are doing and how they feel, and I check in with them really regularly.
What is your favorite Albanian food?
Okay, I think peppers with ricotta cheese. I don't know how to say it, but I like that dish. I also really like crudo, and I love the salads and vegetables, are great here.
How much do you miss home from 1 to 10?
I think probably about 6 or 7. I can get home, I live in London, I can get there quite easily.
And how much do you think you will miss Albania when you leave from 1 to 10?
I would probably say about the same, maybe 8. It's a great place, I'm really happy here, but when you need to at some point move on.
Any tip you want to give to someone who works with the UN?
Oh, we can make a difference. Let's do everything we can to put our efforts together.
Very good. Thank you. That was all. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow UN Albania and UN agencies to get more information about programs, projects, employment opportunities, or other information about the UN work in Albania. Take care.